From the alley-oops at Keyshaw to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. You know what we're going to be doing right now? A 49-player big board.
How big is the board, though?
49 players.
No, but like in terms of like actual scale to. Oh no, it's online.
It is. It's online.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter because
Welcome
it's a big.
to the new world, boomer.
You know, I try my best. You know, we have our editing guy over here doing all the stuff for the live stream. It's totally not me at all whatsoever.
Never.
Look, this is going to be a lot of fun, and these are the top 49 players in the draft.
Correct.
We're not doing that. Everybody has given you that. You know who the best players are in the draft. No. These are the top 49 players that the 49ers could target in the NFL draft. Some of these guys are going to be lower on the board potentially for some people. Some of them are going to be higher on boards for certain people. It is what it is. It's fine. At the end of the day here, Ant, what we want to accomplish is getting you 49 names that the 49ers could draft. So that way on draft day, you're not lost. Who is this dude? Where did this guy come from? Why in the heck did we take this gentleman? Where the heck is he even from? I've never even heard of the guy before. We hope we cover enough guys and enough names that you're going to be like, all right, I know who this is. I got an idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah, we went by kind of draft positioning. So you'll see guys that are going to go throughout the draft, but depending on where they're going to be drafted, we still put them on our board. But we wanted to make sure that we covered it. So 49 targets for the 49ers in this draft. Create our 49 big board. There's going to be names left off. People are going to freak out. But don't worry. We're not trying to just go the 49 best players.
Correct. Not what we're trying to do here. Before we get going, hit that like button if you haven't already. Let us know how hyped you are right now, chat. How hyped you are, everyone watching right now. We want to hear from you. Make sure you're involved. Subscribe if you haven't already as well, because the draft is ever so freaking close. You want to be here for everything. And it's thank goodness you're here today, because you're going to get a whole heck of a lot, including this beautiful big board. Ant, look at this thing. It is glorious.
It is, and as you can see, we're already starting to reveal some of our players.
That's correct.
So let's go through these guys, give a little talk about why we're thinking they're interesting for the 49ers and what they could be doing. First off is Baron Browning. He's 49. Baron Browning, who I took in my mock draft.
You did.
He's an outside linebacker that can do some big-time things, very athletic, very instinctive, somebody that can get up the field and make plays.
Yeah, and he makes a lot of plays. He was one of the key cogs of that Ohio State defense, that linebacking core, especially against Clemson. And he was all over the field, causing a lot of havoc for Trevor Lawrence that day, caused a lot of havoc for a lot of people over his entire career at Ohio State. Definitely falling down some boards too, not going as high. So he's a guy that they can get late, and he's going to add a lot of depth to that linebacking position. Could be a good rotational piece, especially in his first few years. Take some pressure off Al Jalari, and is a good solid piece in case something happens to a Dre Greenlaw.
And big time on special teams.
He's huge on special teams. Next guy on the list after that is a cornerback that we love, especially in the slot of the Bang Bang Hood gang, and a member of that incredible Syracuse secondary, Trill Williams.
Yeah, Trevor Williams is a guy we've been high on the whole time, especially before K1 Williams came back, because we knew they needed to fill a nickel role, and he's somebody that you can get later on in the draft. You don't have to jump up and get him real early. You know, kind of the Asante Samuel and those guys are going early, so this is somebody you could get later. That's why he's coming in at 48, 6'2", 200 pounds, a lot of ability to play inside and development outside. He could do both. That's why he's an interesting prospect.
And we probably would have put him a little higher on our board too if we hadn't brought a guy back like K1 Williams, because Trill would have been a guy that you can go get and he can play right now, probably, hopefully day one, and play pretty solidly. But with K1 Williams coming back, there's not as big of a need for him, which means they're not going to reach on a guy like this. He's going to go a little bit later. Probably won't be a year one guy that plays a whole lot, but would be sitting there in the weights, in the wings, in case a K1 Williams goes down, ready to go, and he'd be a huge impact for the 49ers.
Agreed.
Next guy, though, edge rusher. May not have day one impact, but he has one of the higher ceilings for their edge rushers here. can add a lot to his frame and his size already. He can still get a whole heck of a lot stronger. Extremely quick, extremely explosive. Jordan Smith out of UAB.
Yeah, we love him. He's super fast, super athletic, got a lot of size and length, which you just can't teach. And so this is a guy that could be developed over time. I think he's not as ready to make an impact right away. Could contribute on special teams. He's a very good contributor on special teams, I think, initially, and then could develop into something great. He's somebody I could see them developing to do a lot of different things. He has a, kind of a multitude of things he can do as far as edge rushing and playing outside linebacker. So I'll be curious to see what happens, but definitely 49ers target 5th round, 6th round, something like that. That's why we really like him.
He's on a lot of people's sleeper boards. He wasn't in our sleeper episode, and that's because we're not sleeping on this guy. We think this guy is extremely talented. We don't think he's a sleeper. We think he's a guy who could become one of the better edge rushers of this draft class, given some time and work. He obviously needs it. He's going to get it, especially if he ends up in San Francisco with Chris Kasarik. He's going to get all that and then some.
Oh, yeah.
One of his favorite offensive linemen in this entire draft, the guy who loves to throw people around all over the field, Quinn Miners, a guy who is projected at center in the NFL, but really could play just about anywhere you probably need him to go, with the exception of maybe tackle. Center, guard, definitely in the NFL. Big guy, physical guy. The real questions are, can he play against this high-level competition? He looked really good in the Senior Bowl. Can that continue?
Yeah, more athletic than you would think, too. So he's able to play zone scheme. I think that was the first thing. When I saw the Senior Bowl highlights, I was worried that he wouldn't be able to fit into a zone scheme, but he definitely can. So he can play anywhere. He would be a target for the 49ers if some of the other guys aren't available. And I think for some people, he's one of their top guys. I know the Senior Bowl is impressive, but I think he fits in real nice here at 46.
Agreed 100%. It's a good slot for him, slides right in there. He's going really, really high in a lot of mock drafts. He's going second round, early second, sometimes mid, late second round. I think he's probably better if he's taken a little bit later, because I don't know if he's ready right away day one. It's a big jump to make from Wisconsin Whitewater to professional football team, but the kid could do it. He looked really impressive in his senior day. He could continue that grind and that rise into one of the best guards or center prospects in the entire draft. Next guy, a wide receiver out of Clemson, who we didn't do a whole lot of talking about, Amari Rogers, because he was a big name. Coming from Clemson, playing with Trevor Lawrence, we've been watching a lot more film in this guy lately, and he's sneaking onto our board here at 45.
Yeah, I think because he's a late round guy, he's sitting at 45, but he can have a big time impact. Kind of small in height, but physical, 212 pounds, can make plays, play in the slot, do all kinds of things, as far as in the reverses and that kind of thing. He's kind of that special positionless type player. I don't think he can do a whole lot on the outside as an outside receiver, so you're kind of thinking of him as that slot receiver, but he could do something big, and he's very explosive.
100% agree with you there. Last guy that snuck in here at 44. Before we reveal any more of the list, we want to just cover these guys right now on the screen. Tommy Tremble out of Notre Dame. Impressive tight end prospect. Great blocking tight end. Has a lot of upside as a receiving tight end. He was on your board for tight ends in terms of guys that you liked. Was not on my board. Has since jumped into my top 3 in the tight end list. Right after Brevin Jordan, he's up there, and I think I might actually like him more just because of the dual threat aspect of what he can add to the blocking game. Would definitely be an upgrade over Ross Dwelley.
Yeah, I think he's my second favorite tight end in the entire draft. I really like him. The things that he can do in line and playing in the H-back role off the ball could be really good. And, the fact that people think that he could be a fullback at the next level, I think is something that is possible. So him being able to fit into Kyle Shanahan's offense, where he likes to use players as Swiss Army knives in a positionless role, Tommy Tremble could develop into one heck of a player and could be a solid backup for George Kittle for years to come.
I agree with you there. 100% could. This guy, especially where he's going to end up going to, is going to have great value. You might be able to even get him at the compensatory pick at 102 if he slides a little bit further. Probably going to have to go up a little bit higher than that if you'll want him. But man, he is a talent. He can add a lot of things. He checks a lot of boxes in a Kyle Shanahan tight end, and which is why we think he probably definitely could go there.
Yeah.
Next up, big board shifts a little bit. 43. At 43. Pass rusher that we like, who's dropping almost into round 4, which we think is kind of almost crazy. It's asinine to think. Quincy Roche. Getting overshadowed a little bit by Jalen Phillips and Gregory Rousseau. A little more of a one-trick pony sort of edge rusher. Think of him a little bit more as Al Jalari in terms of has one specific thing he's really, really good at, but he is really good at it and still has a high ceiling and a lot of things he could develop.
Yeah, big-time speed rusher off the edge. Is there things he can improve on? Yes, but in the 4th round, he would be a huge talent. Somebody the 49ers would definitely look at because he's an outside edge rusher that's fast, which they love to have the speed on the outside.
I'm shocked.
Once again, a rotational piece that could fit in right behind Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead and add needed pass rush on obvious pass downs. That's where he would fit early on. Later on, he could translate into a more base 3-down defensive end, but until he develops that, stopping the edge, stopping the run plays, then he wouldn't be able to do that until he learns how to anchor. But right now, as a speed guy, there's certain niche for him. Somebody will grab him. Hopefully the 49ers do in that 4th round area.
Absolutely, and they very well could, and they'd be better off for it as a team, definitely.
Exactly.
Next up, linebacker from Alabama, Dylan Moses.
Dylan Moses is a beast. I mean, he really is a stud. He's a captain on the team. He knows exactly what he's doing. He puts everyone in the right position. So if you're looking for someone that's instinctive, that knows what they're doing, this is a guy you want to get. A guy that you can plug in there, and that for 10 years you're going to have a solid linebacker that's going to be in the right place at the right time. So that seems like a 49er guy to me.
Yeah, 100%. He comes in at 42. I feel that that's a fair spot for him. Probably could be up a little bit higher, maybe. Questions about the ACL injury and coming back from that. But no matter what you think, as you said in our linebacker episode, great awareness twice on the slide. So
that's right.
So nice. I had to say it twice.
Yep.
He's everywhere he needs to be, almost always, rarely out of position. Not going to wow you with anything, but you don't ever have to worry about him being not in the place he's supposed to be, which means he's going to be there to make plays or be in a position to let other guys make plays.
Agreed.
There it is. Number 41, extremely athletic tight end. Definitely probably the next best receiving threat after Kyle Pitts at the tight end position in this draft. Brevin Jordan out of the U. Horse favorite school outside of USC.
Yeah, he definitely is a big-time receiving tight end. You're right. The second best one behind Kyle Pitts right now as far as development. I think the Niners are interested. They've talked to him. They've met with him. Somebody that could really push the ball down the seam. He could get up there. Pretty good route runner. I think there's a little bit of wiggle room there that he could get better.
Especially the intermediate routes.
Willing blocker, not a great blocker. That's something that needs to be improved at the next level. But yeah, he's somebody that could add value. And the 49ers definitely need to address the tight end position after Jordan Reed retired.
Absolutely. Definitely need to. And you can tell. We have Tommy Tremble and Brevin Jordan right there. Like, they're right by each other. They're very close in proximity. Tommy Tremble there at 44. Brevin Jordan at 41. Both of them literally the inverse of each other. Tremble, tremendous blocker, has the tools necessary to be a great receiver, just needs to develop them. Brevin Jordan, great receiving threat and tight end, has some things that he can clean up as a receiver, but in terms of route running, going up and getting the ball in space, especially hands, speed for the tight end position, it's all there. He has all the physical tools to be a great blocker. He just needs some work there. Could go either way with either one of those guys. I think Shanahan would be happy with either, but if I think he had a preference, it might be Tommy Tremble.
I would agree with that.
Very well could be. At 40, this one may start to upset some folks because there's some people who think Eric Stokes is a better corner prospect and is shaking his head no because we are both in agreement there. Tyson Campbell, we feel, is the better prospect. People see the speed of Eric Stokes and go, oh my God, you don't ever have to worry about this guy getting beat over the top. And while that may be the case, he may struggle in tackling situations, he may struggle in open field tackling situations, and he may struggle with intermediate routes underneath because if he turns his hips and opens up to turn the run downfield, how quickly can he plant as fast as he is and get back downhill and cover? I have more cover question concerns about an Eric Stokes than I do a Tyson Campbell.
Stokes is going to get beat deep.
Oh,
I can guarantee it.
That's bold.
His technique is not good enough. I don't care how fast he is. He's going to get ran right by. This guy is way better. Tyson Campbell is a better player.
Polished.
He's definitely more polished. They're a similar size, and he's not even slow. He's just a little bit slower than Stokes. He's still super fast, always in the right spots, more fluid in the hips, good back pedal. I really like him. I think that he would translate nice to the 49ers defense, especially with them needing a guy that can play zone and man. If they're definitely going to go with that, with the whole Verrett, that's kind of what he did last year. This would make the most sense. If he could sit 1 year behind Mosley and then eventually take over, I don't see why not. I think this guy is a definite possibility for the Niners.
100%. And he's not going to be as high as some of the other corners we have on the board, and that's okay because we think there's a lot of value with what he brings to the table. Polished is definitely the thing that comes to mind for me in regards to the comparison to Stokes. He's definitely a more polished guy. Technique is definitely better. I think he presses on the ball better as well.
Better ball skills.
Yeah, way better ball skills. So Tyson Campbell there at 40. It's a nice solid take, but we're not putting him up above a guy like Rondale Moore, who there's a lot of questions of because of the injuries that he's been dealing with and he suffered the last few years. But Rondale Moore out of Purdue, when he's healthy, he's a game changer.
And he's a 49er style receiver. I mean, he really is. He's a fast guy that you can move around and do special things with. This is the Kyle Shanahan kind of guy, but he has to get healthy. I mean, that's really the key. So that's why he's down farther on the board than maybe he would be for other people. I've seen people have him all the way up in the top 15 players, and I think there's top 15 ability, but he hasn't showed it all the way yet. So you can't put him there, but I think we have to take him serious because if he slides or if he's sitting there at the end of the first round, the 49ers could think about moving up and getting him. So that's why he's still a possibility.
100%. And that's my big thing. That's why Rondale Moore, for me, when you said his name, and you're like, we should probably put him on here. I agree with you because there's a very good possibility that he does slide because I do think he's top 15 talent.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he has all of those things when he's healthy. That's the question.
That's the key.
Is he healthy? Can he stay healthy? If he is, it's a steal if you get him late first, early mid-second round. I mean, he's a steal in those rounds. He could fall there. He could fall later if people are that concerned about the health stuff. So it's a possibility. How possible? How likely? Gotta wait till draft day, man. It's hard to project that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is.
But you have to, if you're preparing just for the possibility of him being a late first, they move back into the first, or at pick 43 if he's there, 100% can, because at the end of the day, wide receiver is a position of need. Getting that third guy in the rotation to mix up with Jalen Hurd is important. The Niners need it, especially with the departure of Kendrick Bourne, them not bringing back Emmanuel Sanders, someone like that. You need to find that guy who can fill and plug, especially if guys like Debo or Ayuk go down. He very well could do it.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's a definite option that I would be surprised if he was sitting there at 43.
Yeah.
But if he is, I mean, it would be hard for the front office of the 49ers to turn him down.
Yeah, I know. Kyle Shanahan's going to be like, nope, toy, get him. Get the toy. Get the toy. We just took the quarterback, get him another toy. We're good. We're all good. Dylan Raiden's now tackle prospect out of North Dakota State, was protecting one Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is the pick at 3, pair him up with his old running mate, and there you go. You got yourself a tackle prospect who you think actually translates better to the guards. You can put him at guard for Brunskill with McGlinchey on the outside, and McGlinchey poised and primed for a return to form in 2021. I know 49ers fans, you doubt it. Don't. This man's coming back strong. O-line is then shored up. If Trey Lance is the pick at 3, you got him as running mate, a guy he's familiar with on the O-line, helps him settle in and feel comfortable for years to come on the offensive line. You address the need there at guard with Alex Mack there at center and Brunskill as your swing guy who could play anywhere. And the O-line feels a lot more comfortable now.
Yeah, Raidens has been working out with Joe Staley. So right away, 49er fans are like, oh, antenna's up. He's working with Joe Staley. He's smooth. The one thing I'll say at the Senior Bowl, I thought he looked a lot better at guard than he did tackle.
Yes, he did.
And that's why I think he translates to the guard. I think he's a right tackle, right guard. I think or guard option. I don't think he can play he can't play no left tackle. This guy's a right tackle or a guard in the NFL, and I think it's a guard. And I think that if the 49ers got him, they could be very happy with this guy. He could go in and compete with Daniel Brunskill right away. He is better than Colton McKivitz. He's better than Justin Skule. So you've improved your interior, offensive line right away. The question is, will he be there at 43? Do you have the guts to trade up a little bit to get him? That is a big question. But he's definitely a target the 49ers could be interested in. And if Joe Staley does think he could translate to a right tackle in the NFL, then the 49ers would be dumb not to listen to Staley. But I think they would listen to him because I know they trust him.
I know I trust him.
Well, but could Joe Staley really help Raidens take over for his boy, Mike McGlinchey?
Possible. It's definitely possible. Intriguing thing there, and it also signaled that maybe those trade talks, the Colts inquiring about Mike McGlinchey, maybe that's more realistic of them actually dealing him than some people think.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe they're going to bring back Andrew Luck. No, they're not going to bring back Andrew Luck. We won't go there. We did that already in a video. It's fine. We're not going to go there. Next up, we got 37 through 32, my dude. Creed Humphrey up next, right there, just above Dylan Raidens. He's a center guy who could translate to guard. And as you've talked about, while the tackle position is most important for Kyle Shanahan in his list, and you said this before in previous episodes, it goes tackle, then center, then guard. If Raidens isn't a tackle prospect and you use him as a guard, then Creed Humphreys, who's a center, also who could translate to guard is going to have more value than a guy like Dylan Raiden, which is why we have him slightly up on our board.
Also, kind of where the 49ers are picking, we know for sure Creed Humphrey will be there at 43.
Correct. Dylan Raiden, maybe not.
He maybe not. And also, Creed Humphrey could be there in the third round. So you could, package some sort of a deal to move up in the third round and get him. That's why he's kind of there. Played for Oklahoma, played in the Big 12. He's got experience playing in his own scheme. So, he fits in that way. I think he could be a general on the field. He could learn from Alex Mack and be able to make the calls. And maybe at guard at first and then eventually translate to center, as the seasons progress. But, yeah, he's an option. I think he's a good player and a solid pick, especially in the third round.
Oh, agreed. He's a steal. He's a steal there at that spot. The next guy at 36 is Walker Little, a guy who some sites have him ranked really ridiculously stupid low. Some places have him very, very high.
Yeah.
It's really just going to depend on how teams feel about the injury stuff and him opting out of 2020. Depending on how they feel about everything that happened with him and where he's at with his health, he could go high because he's close to a first-round talent, if not a bona fide first-round talent kind of player. I wonder if you bring him in, is he going to play tackle? Because if he plays tackle, are you moving McGlinchey to guard?
If Walker Little is healthy, Walker Little's the top 15 pick in the draft.
There you go.
Point blank and period. This guy could be a starting left tackle in the NFL. I think that if he fell to 43 and the 49ers didn't pick him, I would be shocked because he could right away play right tackle in the NFL.
McGlinchey moves into guard.
You can move McGlinchey in.
And as soon as Trent Williams retires, you move him over to left tackle.
You can move him to left tackle, and he would be your tackle of the future. He is a fantastic player. The health is a concern. So if your medical, clears it, and we don't have all the charts that they have.
No.
So they're going to have a very good idea of what his medical is. And if he checks all the boxes and he's good to go, this guy's a legit player. Like, he would be up there with Sewell and Rashaan Slater.
Yeah, he would.
Like, we would really be talking about him like that. He was so highly recruited.
If we'd been sitting there at 12, he would have been a guy, especially if healthy, that you would contemplate, are the Niners taking this dude here?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think anywhere from into the first round to early second round is Walker Little goes, only because of the injury concerns.
Yeah, no, definitely 100%. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with him. He's a guy to keep an eye on draft day. Because the closer and closer he gets to 43, the more likely it is that the Niners may make a move and get him, whether they feel they need to trade up or whether or not they're just going to sit pat and grab him there at 43. Because if what we're being reported is true and that there's going to be a lot of offensive guys going first, there's a chance he won't. And there'll be some great defensive players on the board there for the 49ers at 43. If that's all smoke screens, though, and it's not accurate, and there's a lot of defensive guys going middle, early, late, first round, and there's some lineman prospects that are slipping and falling, and you got him, a guy that's coming up on our list.
Yeah.
Also in a little bit, sitting there, hovering there around pick 43, Niners may have to make a move and go shore up the offensive line.
Well, and I think our board is going to reflect that the top 10 picks could all be offense. And that some of these defensive guys can slide, and maybe that's what's going to make the 49ers jump up and get them. That's why guys you wouldn't think would be on our list for the 49ers are going to end up being on our list.
We'll see what happens.
There's some special names coming.
There are some special names, so you want to sit tight. We're going to get to them. Not pick, but number 35 on the big board, a guy I'm very familiar with, Kadarius Toney, the Robin to Kyle Pitts' Batman, and the guy who Kyle Trask just didn't throw to on deep routes when he was open because Kyle Pitts was his security blanket, and who in the world wouldn't throw to your security blanket when he's Kyle Pitts? I mean, I know I would almost every time. This guy is special. The comparison I hate is the Debo Samuel comparison because they're just not the same type of physical player. Kadarius Toney is more of like a hybrid Tyreek Hill type of guy. He doesn't have that Tyreek Hill type speed, but he's a speed presence guy. He's going to make guys miss with his movesets and his skill sets. Debo Samuel makes guys miss with his physicality and just putting his shoulder into your mouth and just saying, get out of my way, fella. I don't think so. But Kadarius Toney is a guy who's been flying up boards since his pro day and even a little bit before then. The more people watched film on him because his speed and the things he can do with the ball in his hand in open space. I think of him as a poor man's Percy Harvin when he was at college.
I think that's fair.
I think that's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on Kadarius Toney saying, because Percy Harvin necessarily, some people would say he didn't work out in the NFL from rookie of the year to kind of flaming out in about 4 or 5 years with the migraine issues. It's really a compliment because Percy Harvin was a fantastic player and really was the mold of positionless guy that if a guy like Percy Harvin was coming out now in the NFL, He'd be a perfect fit in a Kyle Shanahan-like scheme. He's a positionless dude.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney very well could be. The problem is where is he going to go? If he falls and slides into that mid to late second round because of some of the route running concerns with him, intermediate especially, man, right around 43, man. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think it's all about value, and you just don't know which one of these guys are going to slide. We talked about Rondale Moore sliding. Maybe this guy slides. Somebody's going to slide into that early second round area and be right there where the 49ers could pounce if they needed to get another dynamic receiver. He kind of reminds me of Amari Rogers. They're similar, except I think this guy's just a little bit better than Rogers. I think Rogers could develop into being as good as this guy, but right now this guy's better. I'm not as huge fan of him in the open field as everyone else. I think sometimes he looks a little stiff and not as fluid in his movements. He didn't explode on film like everybody else. That's why, to me, I would give him a second-round grade. But there's a lot of people that think he's a first-round grade, and I think he can make an impact on teams. If he gets to the right team, he can make a lot of big-time plays. But that's why I kind of like where we have him on the board.
I agree, too, and he's someone that terrifies me if he ends up in Kansas City.
Yeah.
It is a terrifying thought process. It scares the living bejesus out of me.
Yeah, not worried about it.
I don't want him there. Yeah. Anywhere but there. I would much rather him go to Tampa Bay. And that still scares me. Either way, either team scares me. It scares me more if it's the Chiefs. Please don't do it. Kansas City. Next up, another wide receiver, Elijah Moore. Now, this guy is falling even sometimes past 43, a little bit later. I mean, I think we've seen him close to 102 in the 80s and 90s at times. A little surprised by that.
Elijah Moore is somebody that there's rumors Kyle Shanahan really loves. And I'll admit, I watched the film, and to me, I like him better than Kadarius Toney because he just looks explosive, and he gets in and out of breaks really fast.
I think he's a better route runner.
He is a better route runner, and one thing Kyle really likes is great route running.
Yeah, he does.
That's why he would probably value Elijah Moore a little bit more. You have the concerns with his stature, and, is he going to get hit and get hurt? But, I mean, I think that's a kind of a thing with all these guys. One thing I do know, Shannon doesn't care about size.
No, I don't.
He just grabs whoever he wants depending on what idea he has for them and how he's going to use them. So Elijah Moore would make sense. And like you said, those intermediate routes and stuff. And if Jimmy Garoppolo is still the quarterback this year,
oh man,
Elijah Moore's perfect for it.
He's like a security blanket.
Yeah, depending on who the quarterback is going forward, it might not make as much sense. So we don't know.
It's gonna depend on who they take at 3. Obviously, it's whoever they take at 3 is gonna signal some things. Some of these guys may become less valuable here on the board that we have. Some of them become more valuable, and then depending on just moves that team make, if teams do value some of these position players really early in the draft, and there's a lot of offensive weapons that go in the first round, a lot of these guys might not be there. Kadarius Toney won't be an option. Elijah Moore won't be an option potentially. They just won't be there. But the next two guys that we're going to talk about here at 30, at 33 and 32, no matter what, will be there.
Yeah.
They'll be there in that second round, potentially even third
round. Yeah.
It's crazy to think that Amir Smith-Marset might be there in the third round, but he will. Kelvin Joseph very well may be also. Kelvin Joseph, though, man, this guy's just a freak athlete, and his ceiling is ridiculously high.
And that's why we have him where we have him, because he makes sense for the 49ers in the third round. Kelvin Joseph is a freak athlete that can play man-to-man and in the zone. He has developmental things that he needs to work on. There's a lot of things that he still needs to get better at. We've talked a lot about Kentucky guys, and the Kentucky defense hasn't done a great job of developing these guys over the last couple of years.
And yet they're still standing out on film.
Yeah, they are. So that means they're great talent. You put them in the right situation, they could be phenomenal talent. Kelvin Joseph would make sense for the 49ers. They need to improve the cornerback area. Not in the starting role, but in the, kind of the depth and the backups. And he would be a guy that they could develop, and he could eventually take over for Mosley, because I think he is that kind of talent.
No, I 100% agree with you there. And I think he's got a lot that he can add to the table, and he's not pigeonholed. And I think both of us and Horst, all of us kind of feel like this is a guy, Kelvin Joseph. This is kind of what we want our cornerbacks to eventually become. This is what we think the defense identity is going to shift to. We're not just going to be a cover 3 scheme team. We're going to be able to mix and match, do it all, keep you on your toes offensively, so you can't just predict where we're going to be in coverage. And if that's the case, man, good luck against that front four. Because if we're running man, you're going to need to get that ball out quick. Because if you're going to sit tight and max protect, pressure's coming.
Right. And Smith-Marset is one of my favorite receivers in the draft. He can return kicks, return punts. He's athletic. He's explosive. He runs great routes. He catches the ball in full motion, is able to keep the speed. He doesn't lose speed. Great hands. I mean, he's got a cocky attitude. He's really good about that. He makes sure he brings energy.
It scares me a little bit.
Yeah,
I get KB vibes.
He's had big games against USC in the in the playoffs and stuff. Bowl game.
Yeah.
And he's just really, really fun to watch. I get a little bit of Antonio Brown vibes from him when I watch him. Stature similar to Kendrick Bourne, but I think that this guy would be a big impact player if you could get him in that early 4th round area.
No, I agree, and that's why I think we have him so high at 32. Is I think he's a perfect fit later in the draft, and the AB vibes are accurate.
Yeah,
I get some AB vibes, not the attitude, like the off the field stuff.
Yeah,
on the field, strictly on the field,
and realize his production wasn't the best because he played at Iowa.
Yeah, for some reason Iowa offense, I don't know what they're doing sometimes. I just never know what they're doing. They hand off the ball. They do that a lot.
Remember they had George Kittle.
That's true. They did, and he fell all the way to the 5th. So this guy around 4, maybe this is a steal. Who knows? But I do like the special teams game that he could bring to the table as well. That's a big one. Up next, we got 31 through 26. Ant. There are some interesting names here on the board this deep, this late. Nick Bolton to start from Missouri.
Yeah, Nick Bolton's a stud.
Yeah.
Violent tackler, gets up the field, makes plays, flies around. He's a great linebacker, and I think he fits the mold of what the 49ers are looking for and what they do, and is an upgrade over who they have currently, opposite of Greenlaw and Fred Warner.
Yep, I agree, 100%. And it's interesting, you see Jamin Davis just above him. That's right, we put Jamin Davis just above him. There's some people probably right now down there, chat, getting a little squirmy. You don't know how you feel about that. We think there's more upside with Jamin Davis. We think he has a higher ceiling. We feel he can just potentially do more and be more. I know it's hard to picture a Kentucky guy, especially a Kentucky defensive guy, having success because Kentucky defense is literal dumpster fire boo-boo every year in the SEC. But this kid is special.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of talent.
He does. And you know what? Jamin Davis, I think, is more you're projecting. What he could be, where Nick Bolton is more polished and you kind of know what his ceiling is. So when you're projecting, you put the guy with a little bit more upside just ahead, but both of them are fantastic.
And don't forget, most places have him ranked and projected as a top 45-50 player in the draft in terms of talent, and he falls in every mock draft into the third, 4th round, which means for us, we're sitting there looking at him right here at 30. It's perfect value. I mean, he's a guy who's a top 50 player in the draft easily by most people's metrics and standards, who is going to fall because of production and some technique stuff and things that he still has to improve upon. I mean, I trust DeMeco Ryans. I trust this defense. I trust what they've done in terms of player development. I think it's San Francisco. This kid is going to be lights out.
I agree.
It's good stuff. 29, Jason Owe from Penn State, edge rusher. This kid is special. He's dynamic. You haven't heard us talk about him a lot, and that's because I think before this, I don't think we thought there was a chance. He's starting to fall a little bit, though, in some mock drafts.
Yeah, he is. It's some of these guys, you have these huge spikes when they had, he had his pro day and he ran the crazy 4, was it 4.4?
I think it was 4.4, 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's freakish athletic ability.
It was dumb.
So, I mean, that gives you that instant jump. It's kind of like with Stokes, the instant jump from the 40, and then everyone comes back down to earth when they go back to watching the film and realize, okay, these guys are good players, but let's not get carried away with the speed. Shorts and t-shirt do not decide, who gets drafted where. But I do think he's a solid player, and you can't ignore those physical attributes. He has pretty good hand placement. He can bend the corner. He can push it off the edge. So he would make sense for the 49ers. Once again, speed for the 49ers on the edge. Speed for the 49ers on defense.
And the next guy is speed. Speed. Aziz Al Jalari, one of the fastest edge rushers in the draft. This guy that's it. That's his thing. Yeah. He used speed. This would be a guy that would be the D Ford replacement at some point here in the future when you move on and part ways with D Ford. It's going to be interesting to see what happens if the rumors are true that there's going to be a lot of offensive weapons taken in the early, mid, even late first rounds, and there's going to be a lot of defensive names on the board. If this guy falls into that 43 pick or even a little bit later, you can see the 49ers take a guy at 43 like an O lineman if they're there, or another defensive player somewhere, and then try and move themselves up from 102 back into the second round somewhere and try and grab a guy like this if he falls.
I think people are nervous about him being pigeonholed and not being able to play, all 3 downs in base sets. Because of his size, he's only 230 pounds. But the one thing he can do better than a lot of the defensive players that play on the edge is he can bend the corner. Mm-hmm. He gets that shoulder, dip going, and he really gets that corner, gets there and makes plays on the quarterback. And so as far as speed goes, if that's what you're looking for, now they did get Ebucom, so it does change. I think originally I thought Aziz at 12 would have made sense. Now Aziz has fell so far because people are nervous about his size and the fact that he's just a speed rusher. But shoot, when you start talking 43 and beyond, like you said, trading back up into the second round to get him, yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
100% would. Definitely would. Be interesting to see what they do and if he's still there, especially if all the rumors are true. Next up, 27, Paulson Adebo. That's right. A guy that's mostly in the top, barely in the top 100, sneaking into the top 100 for most folks. Not for us. This guy's sneaking into our top 25. He's in the top, almost the top half of our players. We feel he's one of the better corners. We're not willing to throw him up there quite yet because we haven't seen him in a year. It's been a little bit. But Paulson Adebo, when he is on the field, the kid is special. He goes and gets the ball in space. This is a turnover magnet.
Freakish athlete, guy that can do everything you need to do, play zone, play man. He does a really good job in press man coverage. And you're right, he gets the ball. I mean, that's really one of the keys. He finds the ball and he makes plays. I think he could have easily been a first-round pick if he would have played in 2020. Because he didn't, he gets punished. Because he plays in the Pac-12, he gets punished. And all of a sudden, he's sitting there, as a top 100 player instead of a top 50 player like we have him. But he's a top 25 or top 27 player the 49ers should target because of the skill set he has and the way he fits in the system.
I mean, I think he'd easily be top 25 if he had played this year. I think we would have put him above the guys we have here in front of him.
Yeah.
Easily. But because we didn't and we saw a little bit more out of the next few gentlemen we're going to talk about, we didn't want to give him too much credit and knock some of these other guys, especially with some of the stuff they did, especially what Trevon Moehrig did this year at TCU.
Trevon Moehrig is a stud. I mean, he is. I think if the 49ers would have made so many signings at safety, that he would have been a real option. He'd have been higher up our board. Mm-hmm. But because, they've made so many moves and stuff, safety just doesn't carry the same value that it would have.
Well, not only that, but, I mean, we're going to do something crazy here with our safeties because, I mean, listen, Trevon Moehrig, most people in most places have him as the best safety.
Yeah.
He is the best safety in the draft. And you know what? I don't know if I want to make the argument that he isn't or that there's guys ahead of him, but there's a conversation to be had with 3 names.
Yeah.
One guy, the next guy that we're going to talk about has been knocked because of injury. And the other guy, again, another Pac-12 guy going to get knocked for playing the Pac-12 against Pac-12 level talent, which I guess apparently is a bad thing. And I don't understand how that's possible. But Trevon Moehrig has looked solid every year that he's played at TCU. He looked great this past. I mean, he's a solid player there at safety. But we're going to go literally back to back at the safety position because in all honesty, it's just really hard to pin these guys down in terms of where we think they go.
Yeah.
Andre Cisco here at 25, Javon Holland here at 24. All of them have positives. Cisco might be the best of the group. He honestly could be if he hadn't got hurt, which is why we kind of put him right there in the middle. That Syracuse secondary is just amazing, and it's just great top to bottom. And Javon Holland, real smart player there at Oregon.
Yeah, I think we put them all together too, and you got the need thing with the 49ers now. Once again, these guys would have been up. These guys would have all been top 20 on our board if the 49ers needed a safety. They might not. You could still take one because the 49ers are obviously trying to improve that room. We got guys that are on the last year of their contract. Tart's on a 1-year deal. Tavarius Moore's on a 1-year deal. Or on the last year of his deal. So you're getting to that point. So could you make a move? Yes, you're right. Cisco is probably the best of the group. And then Holland. And then Moehrig. And I think that any one of those guys would be a nice pick. I just don't know if the 49ers are going to select them at 43. I think we had to cover our base here and make sure that we talked about them and make sure that they were on our board because they're that good of players. But, I mean, beyond one of them slipping pretty far into the second round, I don't see the 49ers taking one.
No, I'd be really shocked if they did at 43. Yeah. This doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes more sense for the 49ers to go after a guy like the next one on the list, 23, Elijah Molden, who can kind of fit into a corner role and then eventually translate into safety than it does to take a straight solid guy who would play corner. It would just play safety, Elijah Molden is kind of a utility guy, highly intelligent as well, which is why we have him here just above. If you're thinking of him as just a safety, and a lot of places have him mocked as a safety, then I don't think he goes to the 49ers if he falls to 43 as a safety. If they're looking at him as a nickel kind of guy or a guy who could play potentially just in the cornerback room in general until they're ready to move him back to safety, then he's definitely an option for them there at 43.
He's going to wow people with his intelligence and the way that he looks at football, and that's why he's so high. Because when you find players that are instinctive and then do all the film study and are able to diagnose plays and coverages before they happen, then you don't even have to be as athletic as everyone else because you're going to get there faster.
Look at Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
Richard Sherman, I mean, he was extremely athletic, but once the injury happened and he came back from the injury, the intelligence kept him playing at a high level in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the facts of the matter.
If the 49ers think they can sign K'Wan Williams next year, then Molden probably won't be the pick. But if they have any doubt or they need to have someone just in case, they need to have someone that can play in the dime, 100% this guy's an option, especially at 43, because he'll be there.
And that's why he's number 23 on our big board.
Big time.
It's a big number there for a big-time player. 22, Gregory Rousseau, edge, a guy that has kind of fallen. I wouldn't say he's fallen for necessarily you. You haven't been as high on him.
Right.
I was a little higher on him at the start. I know Horst was a little higher on him at the start. But, I mean, man, the more we've watched film, the further he's fallen down our boards. I think he was a guy that we were considering at 12 initially. I know you weren't as big on him at 12, but he was definitely an option there at 12. He's no longer an option there at 12. He has subsequently fallen into the second round in most mock drafts for the most part, or at least end of the first round. If he fell past 43, he definitely is an enticing prospect for the 49ers.
At 43, yes. I think in the first round, early second round is kind of like where you would think he was going to start to go. If he makes it to 43, it'd be hard to turn down this type of talent. Even though you've went D-line and draft after draft after draft, getting a guy, a freakish athlete that you could develop, he would make Chris Kacerek get excited.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a lot of ability, and if you watch the film, there's a lot of double teams that come his way. He eats up double teams and continues to get to the ball. He doesn't win a lot of one-on-ones as much as you would like, but he's also a guy that has just started playing defensive line since he got to college. So he's a developmental guy, and you have time to develop a player because you have a outstanding defensive line. You take a guy with upside, best player available sometimes.
Sometimes that is the case, and he translates more as an Eric Armstead type of an edge rusher.
Yeah.
He's not a traditional 3-down pass rushing defensive edge. He's going to be a guy who's going to translate better probably as an interior pass rusher on pass downs, I would imagine.
Yeah, I could see him actually playing the DeForest Buckner 3-tech role.
There you go.
I think he could put on more weight. He's actually been putting on more size. And I think he could play in that 290 to 295 range and play DeForest Buckner role. So if you're looking for a replacement for DeForest Buckner, it's not Kinlaw, it's this guy.
Well, there you go. There you have it. But the next guy. This is a defensive lineman that we love. We like him a lot. Elaine Mcneil. I feel he's a first-round talent.
Yeah.
He is falling into the second round in most mock drafts. And if he's there at 43, you and I have both struggled with this. How do you not pull the trigger on this dude?
It'd be hard, just like we talked about with Rousseau. Defensive line, you almost make yourself not go because of the way the 49ers have made moves. Like, I just can't go defensive line. The Niners aren't going to go defensive line. But he's so good. You know what I mean? He really is. And it would be hard to turn him down. And he's somebody that could come in and fill the role. If DJ Jones is hurt or whatever, he can come in there and play. You have Kevin Givens. He's a little bit undersized. This guy has more size. I don't count on Darion Daniels to be anything big. Nope. So this guy could come in and really add. The question is, do you view him as a 3-tech or do you view him as a nose tackle?
That's the question.
Yeah.
He's projected and prospected as more of a nose tackle type player. I think he could probably play both. I think mostly right now he needs a lot of work in terms of run game support and being a good supporting guy in the run game and anchoring the run defense. But on passing downs, if you wanted to flip-flop him and Kinlaw on the field, put him in the 3 technique and let him rush, ooh, yeah. Daddy, that's scary. Especially with all the other talent we have at pass rusher.
Agreed. And let me clarify about what I said about Rousseau. He's not better than Kinlaw. I said he was better in that. I just mean he fits more of the stature and stuff of Buckner.
And what you were looking, if you're looking for a Buckner right. type, I get what you're saying.
Because Kinlaw is a complete freak and he fits no roles. He's on his own.
That's true. He's just his own thing.
He is.
That's why he puts squirrels in his mouth. That's why we love the man. All right, now at 20, Asante Samuel Jr., a guy that has probably just stayed pat. I think he's just stayed pat for us. He hasn't really risen. He hasn't really fallen. We've liked him the whole time. Probably better nickel kind of guy, slot kind of guy right now. He could translate outside.
Yeah.
Be an outside presence for the 49ers at the cornerback position. But he's in that weird spot where it's not going to be, he probably won't fall to 43. But if all the rumors are true, he could fall to 43. If he's there at 43 with some of these other names, I would hate to be in that 49ers war room on draft day, because what in the world do you do?
He'd be hard to pass. I mean, he really would. I mean, this guy, similar build and everything as Verrett, probably should go get drafted in the same spot Verrett did at the end of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very talented. He's got the lineage of his dad. He knows how to play the corner position. He's very instinctive. Exactly. I do see him more as a nickel corner than I do as an outside guy. And I think that's what you're looking at early on in his career. But he could definitely develop and play out there. And who knows, you might have him playing opposite of Jason Brett in a couple of years.
Man, that's a scary prospect.
It really is.
That's a terrifying prospect. Okay, Asante Samuel there, 20. We're in the top 20 now, ladies and germs. I know this video is going on forever. For some of you who are commenting hour or 2 hour videos, you're about to get one today, that's for sure. 19, Landon Dickerson, my dudes. Offensive lineman, obviously interior offensive lineman from Bama. This is a guy who, before you and I talked a lot about him, I liked him, but I wasn't sure he would go in the first round. After talking to you and seeing him kind of fly up boards a little bit, I'm pretty convinced this guy is going to go in the first round somewhere. I don't know if he would be an option for San Francisco just because of how early he would go. But if the rumors aren't true about a lot of offensive players and there's a mixture of offensive and defensive guys and there's a run on corners late in the first round, he very easily could slide and fall into that mid-second round category. And then if you're San Francisco, you're salivating.
I think if he makes it past Pittsburgh and makes it past Baltimore, I think then he'll slide into the second round.
All right.
Both of them need to add centers, and he would be a perfect option. And I think for the 49ers, he would be an option to play guard initially and then translate to center. He's a solid player. He is a legit round one type player, but people are afraid to take interior offensive line in the first round. We've seen it over the years. People just will wait until the second round or draft an offensive tackle and move him inside. This is just kind of what they do. So, I mean, yeah, he would make sense for the 49ers, especially if he slid anywhere near the 35 to 43 range. I think the 49ers would be tempted to make a move on him.
I agree with you there 100%. And that includes this next guy, too. Because talking about interior offensive linemen that people are scared of, they're scared of this guy, not just because of the interior offensive line, but also the injury suffered at the end of the season. Everything looks like it's going to be on track and that Wyatt Davis is good to go. We got him as a top 20 talent in this draft. I don't even think it's close. I think it's an easy, safe place to put him. And if he's there anywhere near 43 whatsoever, we have shown in mock drafts that we will make the move to go get this man and bring him in because he's a bona fide starting right guard in the league day one. Shores up the offensive line, allows Brunskill to be your safety valve in case something terrible or crazy happens for San Francisco. You're not going to have to give up a whole lot of draft capital in order to go get him. And it's a steal. Steal there in the second round.
Been watching the kid play since he was in high school. I mean, that's just what it is. I've been watching him. He's a beast. And he is very equipped to play in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Kyle Shanahan adding a legit guard would be something new. Something he hasn't really done. It's usually kind of guys that they've developed because they do build from the left tackle, then center, then right tackle, then guards. It's just the way they look at it. So it would be a change of philosophy. But if they did it because they thought that all they needed to do was shore up that right guard spot, and they shored it up, man, would this offensive line be good with Alex Mack, Wyatt Davis, McGlinchey, Laken Tomlinson, and Trent Williams.
My Lord.
Sounds nice.
It just sounds great. Yeah. Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. At 17, Joe Tryon, a guy that we have in our top 20. Real hard not to put him in the top 15.
Yeah.
In most circumstances and situations, I would put him above Mac Jones, but you have to value the quarterback position just a little bit more. You got lucky, McCorkle. You got lucky. Joe Tryon, if he probably played this year in 2020, I think he'd be up a lot higher on boards for people. This dude is talented.
Yeah, he got the old opt-out and plays in the Pac-12.
And that's the double whammy.
It doesn't help you. Kuiper had this guy go in the first round early on. I think a lot of teams are going to target him, especially 3-4 guys, teams looking for outside linebackers, because he's got legit ability. He can do everything. He's super athletic. I see him with his hand in the ground playing for the 49ers in the wide 9. My second favorite pass rusher in this entire draft. I have not come off that. I will not come off on it. I was right about Josh Allen and Nick Bosa, and I will be right about this because this guy's a beast.
I like Joe Tryon a lot, and it sucks the double whammy. Had to hit him the way it hit him.
Yeah.
They did the man dirty, but at the end of the day, this is going to give him a good reason to go shut some people up and, put some people's foots in their mouths. And he's a highly intelligent player as well.
Very.
He's wicked smart. And so when you got a wicked smart edge rusher like this who could also translate and play in that 3-4 outside linebacking role, and there's a lot of schemes and teams that he's going to fit with. A lot of good options for him. Let's just hope he lands in a good spot.
And zone blitzing.
That's true. It's very true. I hope it's San Francisco. We'll see what happens. It's doable, but it's gonna be a tight one there.
Could be there at 43.
Could be there. Next up, corner that we really like, Greg Newsome out of Northwestern, another real smart guy. Might be one of the better corner prospects in the whole draft.
I think early on he was looking like he was going to be second round, and we thought 43, 100% Greg Newsome.
Snag him.
Lock it down. It's going to happen. And now he's moved up into the first round. And the reason that he's still on our list and still up there as a possibility for the 49ers is because there's going to be a run on offensive players early. There's going to be a run on quarterbacks early. There's going to be a run on tackles early. And defensive players are going to slide. And because there's so many corners at the top of this draft, somebody's going to fall.
Yep.
And who is it going to be at the end of the first round that the 49ers look at and go, you know what? Let's go get our guy. Let's make sure, is it going to be Asante Samuel, Greg Newsome, some of the other guys we're going to talk about? Somebody's going to fall. They're not all going to go in that range.
It's not possible.
No, it's not. So somebody's going to fall and the 49ers can make a move. That's why these guys are going to be on our board.
Agreed, 100%. Next up, McCorkle, Mac Jones from Alabama. Makes it here at 15 because, let's face it, quarterback is important. It's a position of need. We have him here because we felt it was a fair place to put him.
Yeah.
He does do a lot of things well. I've said it, and I will continue to say it. He might be, next to Trevor Lawrence, the most day one ready guy in this draft. The reason he's not higher is because I don't think either one of us thinks his ceiling is that much higher than what he currently is. Now, granted, if he comes in day one and lights it up in the NFL, and that's his ceiling, is he's going to light it up for years to come, then all right, you eat your words, and it is what it is. But not a lot of rookie QBs come in and light it up.
Yeah.
Like generational talents do. And he doesn't check a lot of the generational talent boxes. He does check some good things like pocket presence, awareness, throwing under pressure, taking shots downfield, deep ball throws. He does hit a lot of those. And while he's not the most mobile guy in the world, he does have some good pocket mobility, being able to move within the pocket to make throws. He's definitely not the type of guy that I see as being a throw on the run type of quarterback.
No.
He's not going to have the same type of accuracy as he will setting his feet in the pocket. But Tom Brady has made it work. There's a chance this kid can make it work. He isn't Tom Brady, though. So I hear that getting thrown out a lot. Tom Brady plays a lot like this guy. Tom Brady had the same kind of build. Tom Brady is a once-in-a-generational type of player. Those guys do not grow on trees. Mac Jones is not one of those types of guys who's growing on that tree.
Yeah.
He's not that. And so you're just going to have to wait and see what he could potentially be. He could be the pick at number 3 for the 49ers. Seeing him around some of these other names, I don't want that to be the case. But if Kyle Shanahan loves the guy, Kyle Shanahan's going to do what Kyle Shanahan wants to do.
Yeah, and he's our 5th favorite quarterback on this list. But like you said, his ceiling is probably not that much farther than what it is right now. Question is that ceiling good enough to win a Super Bowl? That we don't know. We haven't seen him put into tough situations where he has to make throws that are in tight windows. He basically threw to wide open receivers a lot.
All the time.
He had a lot of space to make throws. We talk about Zack Wilson having a lot of space to make throws. This guy did as well. So, operating in the pocket, he's pretty good. But I think 15, I think we could feel comfortable with him being a top 15 guy on our board.
Absolutely. Definitely could. Next guy on the list at 14, Elijah Vera Tucker from the University of Southern California. Horst is sitting there right now at home going, that's my dude. I love this guy. Because I wasn't as convinced. Horst talked him up. I watched a little more film and was like, all right, yeah, this dude's pretty legit. He's solid. And he could translate to tackle still at the professional level. I think he still could play a right tackle spot. I think he covers a wide range of things. I don't think he could translate to center, but he could be a guard on either side of the football. Could be a tackle as well, especially on the right side for the right tackle. Very diverse talent. Does a lot of things. At 12, we were probably considering this as a possibility. Maybe you trade back.
Yeah,
if you really love the guy and get him. It's going to be really, really hard for them to get him though now with where he's going to probably be. But we didn't want to knock him and not include him because he is one of the better lineman prospects on the board.
20 to 35, I think, is where he goes. That's why, once again, he's another trade-up option. I think Baltimore will be looking at this guy to replace their right tackle, possibly. And so, I mean, if he makes it past there, I mean, he could. There's a lot of tackles. It's all flavor of the month, depending on what offense you run and all that. And I still think some people are going to see him as a guard. And if he's a right tackle, he'll go in the first round. If he's a guard, he might slip to the second.
That would be very interesting if he slipped to the second round. I would be a little shocked by that if he did.
Yeah.
Have to wait and see what happens. All right, we are almost there, folks. At 13, all the way down to 8. Let's see what we got here. Travis Etienne is up first out of Clemson. And I think both of us feel like this is probably could be a higher guy. We have to put him here because the running back position is going to be valued.
Yeah. He's explosive. I mean, he makes plays, he scores touchdowns. He's exciting. It also has to be kind of here because of just where the 49ers are picking, and more than likely he's going to go before 43.
I would be shocked if him and Najee Harris don't go before 43. I don't know how either one of these two isn't the pick.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy doesn't go to the Jets at 33.
Yeah, that's a great place for him to land. 100%.
Or 30, is it 33 or 34? 34.
34.
Yeah,
it's one of the two. And 34 for sure. I mean, it's perfect for them, right? You get a running back who can catch the ball in the backfield, can fit in their zone run scheme really well. If that's what they're going to stick with, if they're going to stick with a Kyle Shanahan-like offense, I would be shocked if they didn't go like a West Coast zone run scheme. He'd be a perfect fit there with the new quarterback that you're bringing in. You got a quarterback, you got a running back to shore up because their running game has not been very good the last few years, and it's been all on Sam Darnold to make plays. Now you got yourself a running game, shore up that offensive line a little bit later with your next few picks after that. And who knows, man, the Jets could be going in the right direction, or could be the same old for the Jets. Good luck, Robert Saleh. We hope you get it done there. At 12, J.C. Horn out of South Carolina.
Yeah, Horn, once again, one of the corners that I know a lot of people think are going to go in the top, 15 picks. But when you're looking at it, once again, we're talking about a run on offensive players in the top 10, forcing defensive players to fall. And when you got Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn and Greg Newsome and Asante Samuel, all rumored to be first-round picks at the corner position, somebody's going to fall. And so when these guys start sliding, when is it that the 49ers pull the trigger? They already proven they'll be aggressive. Mm-hmm. You pull the trigger and you go up and get a corner that you think can lock down one side of the field opposite of Jason and Brett for the future.
100% accurate. And then you got yourself a situation where Emmanuel Moseley is in a position to prove himself. And we've seen when Emmanuel Moseley is put into that kind of position, he has come out on top.
Yeah.
Which means now you got a young guy and a guy who's been around for a little bit who knows how to get it done. Pushing each other. It's going to lead to a lot of good things, hopefully, for that secondary. Very well could be the case. One of them probably is going to fall, and the Niners could make a move. Next up at 11, Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle for Virginia Tech. Definitely a tackle prospect. What are you thinking here? Are you thinking this guy could translate to both the left tackle and or right tackle in the league?
Yeah, I think so. I think he could. I actually really like this guy. I think he's a top 20 player in the draft for sure, no matter what the needs are. I think he's that good. The question is where he's going to go. I mean, there's no way, absolutely no way he makes it past Baltimore.
I would be shocked if he made it past Baltimore.
The 49ers would have to jump ahead of 27 to get him. So if he started to slide and he was sitting there at 25, 26, and they needed to go offensive tackle, which I don't think they have to, they could jump up and get him.
Well, not only could you jump up and get him, but if there were a couple of tackle prospects there, not just Darrisaw, but like Darrisaw and like a Dylan, not even Dylan. If there was a Darrisaw and someone else fell down there, it shouldn't be there. Shouldn't be anywhere near there. Elijah Vera Tucker's down near there. You had a Rashaan Slater somewhere happening to fall down in there. That would be nuts. I think if you're the Niners, you make the move because you're sitting there. Basically, make the move, get there right before Baltimore, and you pick up the phone and go, "What do you want? And what are you going to give me to get?" Because if you don't, I'm taking him.
Yeah,
I'm taking him here. You're not going to get the tackle you want. You're going to have to settle for your second option, and you weren't anticipating that after making the move that you made. You're hoping to get your guy, which is why you made the move. That's why you got rid of Orlando Brown. You know there's going to be a big run on offensive weapons and talent. You know the cornerback position is deep, and some guys are going to go. Linebackers, you're going to get your tackle and your center prospect. I don't think so. Why did you have to give him to the Chiefs just for that? I want an extra pick. You're going to give me a pick, and then you're going to get the tackle you want. The Niners could do it. I would like it too. Nice little, why would you do that? Baltimore. Why would you give them what they need? They needed a tackle. You gave them a tackle. You know what? Just for that, give me an extra pick. That's punishment. Comeuppance.
We'll see. We'll see if he's available.
See if that happens. At 10, Najee Harris, a guy who, again, at the running back position was a little more valued. This guy's probably in the top 5.
Another guy we've seen play since high school. I mean, I've literally seen this guy play so many high school games and college. You know, he's going to be a beast in the NFL. Anyone that's sleeping on this guy better be ready.
This dude's going to tear it up.
If he's available at 43, my card's already in.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. I know running back's not a position to need, but this running back, we need.
It's a freak.
Absolutely. At 9, Trey Lance, quarterback out of North Dakota State, above Mac Jones, a good amount. We value him a lot more. I probably value him a lot more than I have in the past couple days. It's a great spot for him there in the 9. He breaks, just cracks into our top 10. We think that's fair.
I think this is a very fair, part and place to put him. If he went number 3, I don't think I would bat an eye at this point. I think we're pretty comfortable with him, in this spot and getting that quarterback there. Knowing you had to trade up to get him, I would understand.
100% would. At 8, Patrick Surtain, cornerback out of Bama, a guy that we have selected in previous mock drafts on Panther Podcast Nation and on One Bar and Lupegas as well. Like him there. We loved him at pick 12. If he falls, he's definitely a guy that the Niners could target and try and come up and get.
Yeah, that's one of the things. It's still one of those corners. We value him a little bit more than the other ones. But will he slide? That's the question.
That is the big question indeed. Will he slide? Will he fall? Oh, man, it's going to be very, very interesting. All right, 7-2. That's right. We're not going to give you one just yet. 7-2. This is going to be very interesting. At 7, you have Rashaan Slater there from Northwestern. Man, this is probably outside of Penei Sewell. He's probably the next best tackle prospect, lineman prospect in the draft. And a lot of people think he might be above Penei Sewell because he's a little more flexible. He can play pretty much anywhere. You can put him at center if you want, guard, tackle. He's definitely probably the most flexible of all the linemen in this draft.
When we were at 12, he was the one I was really leaning towards getting. I thought he could play guard or center early on and then eventually translate back out to right tackle. The odds of the 49ers getting him now are not very good. But like we talked about before, you just never know what's going to happen if these guys are going to slide. But if I had to guess, he's going to go to top 10 to 11. Maybe the big people, the Giants, take him at 11. I think that's kind of the top end where he would go.
And one of our mock drafts, the Giants went tackle.
It's true, they did.
Could happen. They do like their big people.
Yeah.
At 6, Zaven freaking Collins, a guy who's easily and safely in our top 10.
Yeah.
Who's going a lot of times late first, early second in most mock drafts. We feel this guy's easy top 10 talent. 6 on our board here because for us, this is a guy that you start thinking about moving up to going to get. Especially if he falls past, I would say, like 25.
Yeah, I think so. I think if he's there anywhere past 25 and you're looking to upgrade the linebacker position, you want some insurances for Fred Warner. You want some insurances that spot is taken care of. You go up and get him. As you can see, Parsons is not on here because we know we have 0 chance of getting Micah Parsons. So we just didn't do that. But Zaven Collins is a guy that we're huge on, so he was definitely going to be in our top 10 picks.
At least.
It was hard not to put him in the top 5.
It was really hard, but cornerback is a very important position to need, and Caleb Farley is a very talented corner. And again, one of these guys is going to fall. Surtain, Farley, Asante Samuel. I mean, Horn, all of these guys, one of them could fall. And so that's why they're all kind of scattered above based on where we like him. Farley comes in at 5 because he's probably the best of that group at the cornerback position. And man, oh man, if he somehow if he fell into the 20s somehow, some way, if you're the Niners, if you're pretty much any team in the league and you need a corner, really hard not to want to come up and get this guy.
Yeah.
He's a special talent.
Talent-wise, he's top 10, and then he has the back issue.
Mm-hmm.
He's had injury issues, so teams have the medical. So if he starts to fall, that's what it is.
Yep.
And so that's why we had to keep him as a possibility. He's in our top 5 because we value him so much as a player. But the injuries, you just don't know until we see what happens on draft day. We won't know. But if he's the one that starts to slide, that's the reason that it's injury concerns. And if he gets anywhere into the later half of the first round, 49ers, please go up and get him. He would lock down the corner position.
Unless they know for sure he's going to fall into the second round, and then if you want to wait, you can. But man, you better know something that everyone else doesn't know.
Oh my gosh, how is he going to fall in the second?
He's a steal. He's a steal at like 19. He's a steal.
Big time.
Absolutely.
If he goes out of the top 20, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. At 4, Jalen Phillips, a guy that we have that Horst mocked to us and that we traded up to get and that we agree with. He's a guy you're probably going to have to go get if you want him. But man, he's a special edge rushing talent out of the U.
He's the best pass rusher in the draft. I mean, he is. He's a top 15 pick. I think in a year where if you weren't worried about this guy with his concussion history or the fact that he had the retirement because of the concussions, that you wouldn't even be thinking twice about taking him top 10. He's got the best hands as far as placement and what he does with them since Nick Bosa in the draft. I really like him that much. I think that he's going to show out in the NFL. So if you can get over those concerns, you can take him early. But I've seen him fall all the way as far as like 27, 28, which if he's down in that area, I'm on the phone. I'm getting up. I'm getting him.
Go take him. Go get your boy. Go get your boy. At 3, Justin Fields out of Ohio State. This is where some of you, if you've been waiting this long, you're seeing this name here at 3. You're getting a little concerned. You're like, oh my God, why is Pitts above him? Who could possibly be at 1? Who'd you guys put there? I'll tell you what. Justin Fields, I think he gets a bad rap a lot of times.
Yeah.
I think a lot of 49ers fans have been hearing the things, the epilepsy stuff comes out that he by the way, puts out. He puts it out there, and people freak out a little bit. I don't think there's that much really to be worried about this guy. I think he fits a lot of schemes. I think he does a lot of things well. I was really down on him when we came into draft season. No one ever asked me my opinion. Never came up in conversation when we were doing podcasts. If you had asked me start a free agent, even before free agency, end of the season, before the Super Bowl, if we had talked about Justin Fields at all, I would have had not a lot of good things to say about him. The more film I watch, more of his pro days that I broke down, the more I just saw him developing and growing as a quarterback, man, the more I like the guy. The more you hear Coach Day talk about him, the more I like the guy. Watching Shanahan beam during his pro day makes me feel like if Zack Wilson or Trevor Lawrence or one of those guys like that isn't there, this is going to probably be the dude there at 3, and I'd be totally fine with it.
Yeah, he's a big-time talent. You know what I mean? I think him and Trey Lance are the guys that 49er fans ultimately think about the most. I think just because they don't think there's a possibility of anyone else being there. But I think we would be happy with either one of them. But I think that a lot of 49er fans that really have gravitated towards Justin Fields, the ability that he has, top player out of high school, won the Elite 11. I mean, this guy is a legit talent, and he's got a lot of ability.
Super smart kid, too. He was recruited to a lot of Ivy League schools.
Oh, yeah, super smart. And he's going to be able to do everything he needs to do in the NFL. And I think that's why he had to be 3. I mean, I think going into the season, a lot of people thought he was the number 2 quarterback.
Yep, and I think for the most part, he's dang near close to that. Next up to Kyle Pitts, and a lot of you are going, Kyle Pitts, so Kyle Pitts is the guy. At 3 then, right? You have him ranked above Justin Fields. You can't tell me that it's not Kyle Pitts. Listen, Kyle Pitts is one of the best 2 or 3 players in this draft, bar none. It's not even freaking close. If Trevor Lawrence was on this list, and shocker for all of you, Trevor Lawrence isn't on our list because we don't think he's falling past Jacksonville.
Right.
So there's no reason to put him there. That's fine. After him, it's probably Kyle Pitts. It's dang near close. He's at least in the top 3 or 4 in this draft, but you're not taking a tight end after giving up 2 firsts and a third.
The reason we left him on here is because there are people that think that the 49ers went up to get Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts even said so himself.
It's true.
So you leave it on here just because there's a percentage points that it could happen.
And like I said before, this could be the big brain move where they moved up early to stir up the quarterback controversy. The quarterback market is hot. The 49ers actually do like Mac Jones and they love McCorkle, and they're going to let somebody swoop in and try and overpay more than potentially or as much as they did to move back a few spots so they can get the quarterback they want. They can grab 2 picks or enough capital that they can move back up and take a McCorkle where they think he's going to go and draft a Kyle Pitts a little bit later. That is still a possibility. I think it's a stretch.
Yeah.
A big stretch, but it could possibly happen.
Yeah, I think that's why we leave him on here, just so everyone, it satisfies everyone's thinking. But I think we do value him that much.
I agree with you there. And now the moment of truth. You've been waiting over an hour, folks, for this. You've been sitting here going, who is the guy? You don't have to wait any longer. At 1, it is Zack Wilson at BYU. What a big surprise. We are big Zack Wilson fans on this podcast.
I have been a Zack Wilson fan since I seen Zack Wilson's the first game I watched of him. The ball just explodes from his hand. I like the way that he was able to throw on the run. You're fine. Off-platform throws were fantastic. And I just think that he's a big-time player in the NFL. I have thought this for a long time. And I was laughing when I used to read people say he didn't have a strong arm. He couldn't make all the throws. I would watch the cone zone, and he would say that Zack Wilson wasn't the guy. He would say he couldn't make throws. He didn't have a strong arm. And then all of a sudden, it gets broke down by Chris Sims, and he's like, oh, the ball explodes from his hand. He's fantastic. He can do it that way.
My favorite part of that Chris Sims was when I heard him saying it. As he said, explodes from his hand, I didn't hear it in Chris Sims' voice. I heard it in your voice.
Yeah.
It was literally your exact breakdown.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It was just something. There's something special about him.
Yes.
And, whether it ends up translating, we don't know. But I'm hoping that it does, and I'd really hope it was with the 49ers.
I hope it's with the 49ers, too. I hope the Jets pass and go with Justin Fields or someone else. I really do.
I will buy a Zack Wilson jersey.
Dude, it's done.
I'll probably buy a Justin Fields jersey, too.
I mean,
or Trey Lance.
I'll wait on Lance.
Yeah.
I'll wait on Lance. I'm not going to...
Are you gonna snorkel with McCorkle?
No, I will not snorkel with McCorkle. I will not do any snorkeling of any of the McCorkling. It's not just... Nope, it's just not... It's not going to happen. Look, at the end of the day, this is the guy I want at 3.
Yeah.
Is he going to be there? Who knows?
Yeah.
There's no way to know for sure. Is this the guy the Niners want? Frick if I know. I know it's the guy I want. I know it's the guy you want. I know it's the guy Horst wants. I know all of us are in agreement on this. This is the guy we like here at 3. This is our favorite quarterback in the draft that's not named Trevor Lawrence. In all honesty, I think there's an argument to be made for both of us, at least, that he might be our favorite quarterback in the draft, including Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, it's close. It's really close.
I mean, the way he flips his hips on some of his off-platform throws reminds me of Aaron Rodgers, and some of his release points reminds me of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, the way he can throw from different arm angles is impressive. He could definitely run Kyle Shanahan's offense to the maximum. And I think listening to John Beck on KNBR talk about him, or not talk about him, but describe a quarterback, it sounded exactly like Zack Wilson.
It did sound.
I mean, literally to a T, every single thing he said was Zack Wilson. Do the 49ers know something about what the Jets are doing at 2? Maybe. We brought this up in our conspiracy theories episode. If you missed that, you want to go check that out. We talk about this, that the Niners know exactly what the Jets were doing all along. Yeah.
We thought maybe they knew the Jets were going to keep Darnold and not take a quarterback, but maybe they knew they were dealing Darnold all along based on conversations they had with him, that Darnold wasn't going to be the guy, and the prototypical kind of quarterback that Saleh was looking for New York, and maybe it isn't Zack Wilson. They were like, he can be ours, and they made the move.
I'll tell you one thing that was interesting. So I happened to click on a Grant Cohn video. I don't watch him very
It's an accident.
I don't watch him very often, but there was one that kind of got, piqued my interest. It was something about social media and Zack Wilson. And so a guy came on there to talk to Cohn about the fact that he had done some investigating on who the quarterbacks are following on social media and, what teams, what players, because he was interested in just trying to find out any information he could.
Interesting.
And he looked on Twitter and he said it was super hard. You can't really find, who's following who. It takes forever. But he went on to Instagram.
It's true. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, and he was going through everyone. And to make a short story, he went through all the top quarterbacks, and they were all following a bunch of players, a bunch of teams. It wasn't really a big deal. When he got to Wilson, it was interesting because Wilson was following almost every 49er, including River Craycraft. Okay? That was the point he made, River Craycraft, right? So he's following all of them, and then he's following 2 teams.
The Niners and the Jets?
No, not the Jets. The 49ers and the Atlanta Falcons, who picked 3 and 4. So it was at least an interesting, I was like, you know what? I'm actually glad I clicked on this video. It had less to do with Cohn. The other guy came up with everything. But it was pretty interesting because it was like, wait, is there actually something to that?
There might be.
Has maybe he said to the Jets, like, I'm not interested in going there? Or did the Jets say, hey, you're not going to go here? And the Niners are like, you're our guy.
Man, I hope to God that that's the case, and I hope to God all of you are as excited about that prospect as we are, and I hope you're so excited that you're ready to smash that subscribe button into oblivion right now. Hit that notification bell while you're at it. Like the video. Comment down below about this big board. Is there anyone you think we should have put on the big board? Is there anyone that we put in the wrong spots you don't agree with. I imagine there's going to be a lot of names that aren't there. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's figure it out. The more names that are out there, the more informed 49ers fans are, the more prepared you can be on draft day. Because after we get past pick 3 and after we get past pick 43, who knows what is going to happen? I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen with 3 and 43.
Yeah.
But after that, man, it is a crapshoot in terms of what the Niners could do because there's so many things that they've already addressed in free agency. What do you really need at this point?
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun to talk about. It really is. And that's part of the whole thing is the conversation. Make sure you're here on the live stream to have the conversation with us as the 49ers make these picks because it's going to be so much fun. We're going to be able to kick back and forth on what everyone thinks about these picks. Are we miserable because they went Mccorkle? Are we happy that they went with the greatest quarterback of all time? We think it is going to be one way or the other. There's going to be either an extreme high or an extreme low. And you know what? We're going to be here for all of it. We're going to ride the entire roller coaster that is the draft together, and it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Draft day party. You don't want to miss it. You want to be here. Help us get to 750. Hit that subscribe button today if you haven't already. I don't know what you're doing, but it's okay. I forgive you. Get it done. And until draft day, folks, you stay safe.
Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.